The Nairobi County government plans to buy motorboats, rafts and inflatable boats to help in disaster management during the El Nino rains expected to start anytime this month. According to Bramwell Simiyu, the chair of the Nairobi County El Nino Task Force, the county estimates to spend at least 1 billion shillings in alleviating the effects of El Nino rains. And as Leon Lidiguna reports, people living along riverbanks in Nairobi could be severely affected by flooding like has been the case in the past.
For Zipporah Nambafu, a mother of 3 who lives in Kibra, the mention of El Nino and flood sends a chill down her spine. The pain of past experiences sends tears racing down her cheeks as she goes down memory lane.
Mwaka 2021 nilipoteza mume wangu. Kwa anatoka kazi, akakuja kwa nyumba, akatuletea mboga, na alipokuwa anarudi kuingiza pikipiki yake, juu alikuwa boda, maji ikawa mingi, hakuweza kuingiza pikipiki, na alipojaribu kurudi maji ilimbeba hivyo.
Just like that, a son, a husband, a father of 3 was no more. Helpless, vulnerable, frustrated and traumatized, Zipporah is one of hundreds of Kibra residents who have known the land along the Gong River to be home, though now they are forgotten. This is the story of homeless, poor Kenyans illegally settling on land the county government of Nairobi says is riparian, as floods brought by El Nino beckon yet again.
Kuna nyumba ya nguruwe ilienda, mbuzi zilienda, bata zilienda, hata na vitu zangu mingi zilienda, unaona, na vitu mingi iliharibika. So ni vitu zingine zilipatikana tu huko. Kama mbuzi ilipatikana, kama imejinyonga na kamba huko, wengine wanachukua wanachinja wanaenda nayo tu, kwa sababu ni kitu wameokota.
Zile miaka zilizopita zile drainage ile ambao walikuwa wale planners wamesuggest kuwa, na saa hii population ile ambao iko inafaa wafutilie mbali ile system, wakuje na system ya kisasa.
Ezekiel has opted to build a church on the riparian land next to the river where he used to stay before being evicted by the floods.
We've actually mobilized assets to allow us to intervene, and I'm confident that we have the infrastructure, or we have the assets, we have the tools and equipment in terms of the backhoes, in terms of the excavators, in terms of the lorries, but more importantly, we now have the manpower that is actually at the forefront of leading this fight to ensure that the stormwater finds its natural pathway away from disrupting. So it's not a matter of mapping anymore.
Ezekiel narrates how it all happened, the losses incurred and why he opted to move to higher grounds, and what he thinks the government should do to help them.
Because saidizi ningependa kabisa niwekewa ukuta. Wacha chakula, niwekewa ukuta ili nipate nafuu, ili wakati ngine maji ikikuja hata mingi niendelee kulea watoto yangu pale.
Andrew explains why he does not want and will not move despite the looming El Nino danger.
Kuhamisha watu kwa mtoni bado ni shida. Kwenye unamhamisha ukimpeleka huko utagaramika, umjengee, ufanyie nini, na labda zingine kidogo ile maisha yake imemtosha pale.
He cites drainage issues, lack of toilets and empty promises by MCAs, as well as what the government promised but never delivered.
Tunataka choo, tunataka drainage mzuri, mitaro mzuri ziende.
The county government of Nairobi has been busy mapping out El Nino hotspots in Kenya's capital and adds that about 5,000 structures erected on riparian land will be affected by flooding.
Well, we are looking at, for example, the Joseph Kang'ethe Hall in the Kibera area. You know that along the Nairobi Dam and the Kibera area, the Kibera neighborhood, a lot of residents actually live along the river area. In Mukuru, we're also working with a number of social partners, NGOs that have these facilities, and those have been earmarked as areas that we can be able to accommodate our residents.
Bramwell Simiyu the chair of Nairobi County El Nino Task Force, says they have also identified alternative shelters for those living on riparian land susceptible to flooding, which include churches, social halls and schools, where they will be accommodated. One such shelter is Joseph Kang'ethe Hall in Kibra. The county says that their interventional supplies will cater for approximately 200,000 people who they think will be directly affected. The county is also calling for people living along or on riparian lands within the city to voluntarily move to safer ground so that they are not affected by El Nino as they work on reclaiming the lands. Simiyu discloses that Nairobi County government is planning to build affordable houses for those on riparian lands and has earmarked Dagoretti Corner along Jogoo Road and in Eastlands area, and will also address Nairobi drainage system. On disaster preparedness during El Nino, he says that the county government is in the process of purchasing inflatable boats in the next 1 week, apart from offering psychological support and counseling, not only to those affected by the climate or ecological grief, but also the county staff on the front line.
When El Nino happens, we must have the ambulances, we must have the fire trucks. You correctly mentioned we must have the boats, inflatable rafts. Yes, indeed. It's a part of what you're planning, even as a department, to procure within the next week or so, a couple of weeks, actually inflatable boats and at least some motorboats to be able to allow us to access flooded areas.
Mr. Simiyu reminds Nairobians that disaster management starts with each and every one of them as individuals.
Nairobians, please be the responsible person for your own environment. Do not litter. Do not dump illegally. Do not be guilty of making the problem worse by throwing rubbish all over.
For the residents of Kibra, the impacts of living next to this river, even in the advent of the El Nino floods, is far well too known to them. This is why they're requesting the government to do all it can to help them to adapt to the impacts of the floods. For NTV, my name is Leon Lidigu.